Welcome to the GameChanger 00100 show. I am your host, GameChanger. So, I seen a show on CNBC called Why Men Are Leaving the Workforce. Anton Daniels did, his take on that, and I disagreed with a lot of it. And now I'm going to do my take of it. His take is coming from the point of view of a millionaire. Mine is coming from the point of view of a person who's not a millionaire, with an income and who has seen both sides. I didn't grow up wealthy. Let's just start there. And I'm not saying that he did. I don't really know his history. And that's not really relevant to this particular story. Okay. But there was a lot of reasons given. And I have my own reason that men are leaving the workforce, and I want to share that with you. But first, let's go over the short of the day. Actually, didn't have that set up. My bad. But we are going to do that right now. So while I do that, hit the like button. I greatly appreciate it. Oh, actually, I know the short I'm going to do because I just seen this today. And this is me disagreeing with the No Fugazi podcast. Okay. All right. Give me a second.
It's guys that pay for like he got it to spending it. It's just like here.
Then that dude that's just giving his money away like that, he's a simp. He's a broken individual mentally. No one respects that guy. Men don't respect him, and other women don't respect him. God don't respect him. Nobody respects that guy that's just giving up his main agency frivolously to women. Just like no one respects a whore that's just giving up her main agency, her sexuality to a lot of men. Hoes don't get respect and simps don't get respect. That's the facts.
Okay, shout out to, I think his name is Cooley. All right, listen. We're dealing with, first of all, he's confusing the word simp with trick, or vice versa, but he's confusing those words. Secondly, I don't think that a person's sex life, provided that it's between consenting adults, no diddy, is really a factor on respect. He said, men don't respect that guy and women don't respect. I can respect a guy regardless of how he, wets his willy. I don't, that's not really my a qualification for respect. A respectable person has a number of characteristics, none of which has to do with how he wets his willy. I don't get that. And we as men really shouldn't be like that. Because what it does is it puts you in a position to where women determine who you respect. It's like, okay, I don't respect guys that pay for it, which means I only respect guys who get it for free. So a woman need only stop giving it to a guy in order for other guys to lose his respect, increasing the value of the box. You don't realize that indirectly, but he is playing directly into their hand. If somebody wants to pay for it, that's fine. That gives them control of their access. Just like if somebody wishes to pay for food rather than hunt or fish or farm, then that's also their prerogative. I'm not going to lose respect for any of these people for how they get down if they behave honorably towards other men. All right. Now that we got that out the way, men are leaving the workforce. Wow. And they are just making this big hubbub about it. We have 675,000 views in the last 10 days over this particular topic. Men leaving the workforce. It's like, oh, woe is me. You ever noticed how when women left the kitchen and the bedroom, it was a good thing. There wasn't this huge hubbub. There wasn't this, oh, we got to do something about this. This is a call to action and blah, blah, blah. There wasn't that. There was just like this, oh, great. They're liberated. They're free, And when women just took on welfare at like an astounding rate, nobody said jack. Well, there were a few specials on that. I'm not going to lie. That vanishing families in the Black community thing, that was a very good one. So there were people that spoke on it, but the general public did not care, and not much, if anything, was done about the phenomenon. But this is a call to action. This is a panic, and I don't understand why, because they're right to be concerned. Men leaving the workforce has a huge economic impact on society, to the point of its sustainability. Like, imagine if, and this happened in Rome, people just said, I just don't wanna. More importantly, imagine if men just said, I just don't wanna. Now, I'm gonna give an example. Attila the Hun. Attila the Hun attacked Rome in the city of, I think it was Orleans, which is now in, of course, France. So it was a hard-fought battle, and Rome was able to defend itself, and the war pretty much just ended in a stalemate. Now, back then, people only fought during fighting seasons, and I think this was the summer. So Attila packed up and he waited for next year, and he's like, okay, I'm going to see you at 3:00, or whatever the yearly Roman equivalent to 3:00 was. But I'm going to see you again. Hit the like button. So Attila came back, full force. He was ready to go. And something interesting happened. At that point, the Roman men just said, "Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be." They did not care anymore. And this isn't just some backwoods nation or something like that. This was Rome. This was Rome. This was the pinnacle, the highlight of Mediterranean civilization. And they just said, something? Forget it. You're not going to see me on the field with these crazy horse archers anymore. It's not worth it. And that's because the Romans at the time failed to address the fundamental question. And that is, what are men fighting for? They didn't research that, or if they did, they forgot. How do you motivate men? What are men fighting for? Now, America, which is considered to be the Rome of the world, the modern Rome of the world, hit the like button. Nobody is asking what motivates men. Mel Gibson was in this movie, what a girl wants. They have a song, what a girl wants, what a girl needs, what women want. Nobody's asking what men want. Because for one, they think that they already know. Boobies! They think that they already know fundamentally what we want. But unbeknownst to them, what we want has layers, has a multitude of layers, meaning that once one level of want is fulfilled, hit the like button, another level of want emerges. They don't explore that. Modern society only thinks about what women want. You could turn on the TV and see what I'm talking about. And they're getting it all wrong. They're like, oh, women want to see themselves on TV. Let's put women in men roles on TV, and we're going to assume that women are going to watch it. And they don't. And they don't. They're missing the mark on what women want, and they aren't even trying to figure out what men want because they think they already know. So there's no motivation. There's no motivation. Listen, it doesn't matter how much money you spend into the U.S. military. If the men just say, hey, screw this, then we are gone, just like Rome. Oh, by the way, Rome was saved from Attila by assassination and by what's it called? The clergy. The clergy. They was able to stall the war for one more year. The Pope was able to stall the war for one more year. So they lucked up, and I think they got like an extra 50 years before everything else just went to crap. The men were undermotivated to work and fight, etc., etc., etc. What makes men fight? Some cases it's the money. Some cases, see, it's an ever-changing thing. What motivates men? And society have stopped caring. So the reason why prime age men have left the workforce is because they're undermotivated to be in the workforce. No matter how many zeros you put behind, their paycheck, no matter how many extra zeros you put on the paycheck, they're just not motivated to be in there. But enough of me talking. Let me play this from MSNBC so you know what I'm talking about. Hit the like button.
Especially men aged 25 to 54, who are often considered to be in their prime working years. As of August 2024, 13.7% of prime age men were not working, compared to just 7.2% in 1954.
The long-term decline in labor force participation by so-called prime age men is a tremendous worry for our society, for our economy, and probably also for our political system.
There's a surplus of prime age workers who could be working and aren't, and that's this puzzling problem.
The unemployment rate for prime age working men sat at 3.4% in August 2024. This number primarily includes those who are unemployed and looking for a job. But about 10.5% of men in their prime working years, or roughly 6.8 million men nationwide, are neither working nor looking for employment, compared to just 2.5% in 1954.
What's surprising is it's not a COVID phenomenon. It's not a recession phenomenon.
And for every prime age man who is unemployed and looking for a job, there are more than 3, in some years 4, who are neither working nor looking for work.
So what's driving men out of the workforce? And if left unchecked, what impact will it have on the U.S. economy?
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there for a second. Notice how they're talking. Peep the language. If left unchecked, meaning we have to check these guys. We have to check them. I want somebody to type in the chat room. What do you call it when somebody forces you to work? I'm going to repeat this. What do you call it when somebody forces you to work? Because, yeah, exactly. They said check, not motivate, meaning that, we have to check this behavior, not encourage or entice. Exactly. Droopy D has it right. We have to get these guys back a working. All right, okay. why don't you listen to the men? No, okay, look at this. Look at this. You know, you have the guy that sounds like, you know, the Clear Eyes commercial. You know, you have a woman who looks like the bag that you put a younger woman in. You and what you don't have, what you never have. I noticed this. You never hear from the men. You just hear from the people talking about the men. For example, say when they did that whole special, you know, and they had like all the single women there, it was black women, and it was like the men are in jail, or they are deleted, or they're rainbow or something like that. They were just making all the excuses. And you know, they showed the woman, she was like a cheerleader lawyer or some crap like that. And you know, and it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. But where are the men? Where are the men? They should have had at least 3 brothers at that table say, hold on. You don't remember me, but I shot my shot at you 6 weeks ago. And you just ignored me and drank your Starbucks and walked past me. We here. We're not in jail. We are not DOA. We are here. They don't do that. They do all kind of studies on male behavior without asking the men. What do you think is going to happen? That's like having kids, and instead of for asking them what do they want for Christmas, instead of for doing that, they just saying, you know, oh well, studies say that, you know, kids like Legos. Now that study is written by Lego, but you know, anyway, what's the fake big Legos?
Nearly half of prime age men out of the workforce cited obsolete skills, lack of education and training, poor work record, or security issues as a reason preventing them from work.
Education is a very important predictor of a prime age man's odds of being out of the labor force.
The big impacts are on the non-college educated groups on their ability to enter and stay in the labor market.
Men who are not college educated leave the workforce at higher rates than men who are. At the same time, fewer younger men have been enrolling in college over the past decade.
And this is why they need to ask men instead of for telling them. The reason why men who are not college educated leave the workforce in greater numbers than men who are college educated is because men who are not college educated are more likely to be in the military. In the military. You have to ask men. Shout out to Fantastic, retired, 40s. Shout out to Skylar, retired, 40s. Or no, 30s. You didn't bother to ask them? Actually, I think Skylar's educated, so scratch that one. But there's like an army of men, and there's a whole military, the world's most powerful military of men, where these group of people are retiring every year in their 30s and 40s, most of whom are not educated. Did you ever stop and think about that? That the reason why educated non-military brothers like myself I am working, is because I have to. If I would have took the smarter route and joined the military as an officer or not, I would be retired by now. But these dudes are talking. I mean, these people are old. This whole education is the key to success thing is a very 80s concept. It's an extraordinary. This is a concept that came before everybody was doing it. Like when only like the top 10% of students that spoke Latin by the age of 12 could go to college, then that's when it meant something. But once single moms started, going to college in their spare time and getting their degrees online, it didn't mean crap anymore. And then they say, "Ooh, most educated." It's like, yeah, okay. Try going back to when I went to college with no spell check and no Google, and see how educated you. Anyway, I'm not even gonna go into that. It's not the same. These people are speaking from a completely different generation. Hit the like button.
If you look at the geography of where the most prime age men out of the labor force are in particular, they tend to be in places that have experienced manufacturing declines. They used to graduate with a high school education and have.
She needs to mail her advice back to the 60s. The manufacturing decline? Are you kidding me? You might as well be talking about the potato famine. Like you might as well be talking about the Great Depression. What the manufacturing decline is why is this happening now? You need to ask the men who are in that situation in the age range that you are talking about. But no, you're looking from an outsider's perspective, like, oh, it must be because the plant closed down. The plant closed down 50 years ago. The plant closed down before these dudes were born.
Good, stable jobs. They weren't glamorous jobs. They were, automobile factories, sometimes mines, other manufacturing jobs, but they were respected, they were stable, and they could support a family. Since then, due to technology-driven growth, a little bit due to Chinese competition, you've had a lot of manufacturing.
This chick is off her roster. She said a little bit due to Chinese manufacturing. Let me see where my microphone is made. You don't even have a sticker, not one that I could see. Hold on. Oh no, here it is. I can't see it though. Hold on. Let's see. No, that's something else. That's like a serial number or something. It's real small. I was trying to look at it. All right. Here. Because I want to see where my computer is made. All right. Dell computers made. In many locations around the world, including U.S., Ireland, Brazil, and Poland. I got a feeling that the U.S. participation is very, very low. Aside from the United States, Dell's ODM and final assembly facilities are in China, Vietnam, Taiwan, Mexico, Brazil, Ireland, Malaysia, India, Portland. I think I said Thailand before when I meant Taiwan, but now it's both. It's both. So miss me with this whole listen. There are like 2 billion Chinese people, meaning that they have like a billion adults, all of them working. They have more working adult men than we have men, women, and children in our entire country. I'm going to repeat that. They have more employed men than we have people in the US. And she's just going to downplay that. Like, it's partly due to China. It's partly due. No, they are manufacturing everything for everyone, everywhere in the world.
firms and the places where they were located, that were one-horse towns, become ghost lands, right?
Wages could also be a contributing factor. Median annual wages for men with a high school diploma have fallen from just over $57,600 in 1973 to $45,000 in 2023, adjusted.
That's not a small drop. That's not a small drop at all. That's not a drop in the bucket. That's literally $1,000 a year. $1,050 a year. I mean, that's a whole extra, depending on where you live, that's a whole extra bedroom. Or for some people, that's a whole extra story on your house. That is not a small amount. That's like a whole second floor if you live in a one-story house. That's a whole bedroom. That is a huge difference in pay.
For inflation. At the same time, wages for those with a bachelor's degree or more have increased by about $6,300 during the same period.
See, all this is doing is this is just like, oh yes, all your problems will be solved if you get a degree. I could tell you that is not, I have a degree. Fortunately, I got one in a field that was marketable, at least at the time that I got it. And but I could tell you most degrees are worthless, and I mean completely worthless. These studies are poorly done.
This decline in earnings led to a 44% growth in the exit rate of men without a college degree from the workforce between 1980 and 2019.
I think, honestly, status plays more of a role than wages. As I said before, you had a manufacturing job. It was respected. You were part of a community, breadwinner for your family. You had organizations like unions or Rotary clubs that surrounded your job. And that's gone.
In general, men without children are also less likely to participate in the workforce compared to men with children, especially men without education or training.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now they're actually onto something. Let's see if they actually unpack this. Men without children are less likely to participate in the workforce. There is a deficit of children. There's a fertility crisis. We are having fewer children as Americans. And if children are what motivates men to work, then and men are not working at the same time women are having less children, then let's see how deep they dig into this.
After high school.
What we have seen is a huge rise in the proportion of prime age men who've never been married, and a very, very significant decline in the proportion who are currently married and have kids at home. And those two trends track closely with the big changes that we've seen about male attachment in the labor force. Correlation isn't always causation, but looking at that correspondence is real important, I think.
Meanwhile, 57% of the roughly 10.
That's right. Correlation and causation. So it could be that the men are not working because they don't have families to provide for. So why work? Or, or at least why work? You can work as little as possible. There's one. Or they don't have kids because they're not working, which one could argue both sides. I would give the argument to the former, and that's because guys without work tend to have more kids. Now, those kids are by women who are just looking to get in the system, but they tend to have more kids. So, yeah.
% of men not looking for work said their physical or mental health was the main reason for not being employed.
All right, Gay Bay is saying something. Dudes need kids to be productive. Yikes. They need something. They need a reason. There are several things that motivate men. Being productive for productive sake isn't one of those things. Now, of course, you're going to have those people who take pride in things, in benefiting others for no reason. But yeah, you need a motivating factor. For many men, kids are that motivating factor. But to actually produce and to look at somebody not producing and saying, yes, I'm doing this because I'm better than the person who's not productive, really need to rethink their way of thinking. Thanks for being a channel member.
Employed, with 55% citing a disability, serious illness, and or receiving disability benefits.
The whole question about the health and the mental health of male workforce dropouts is...
Okay. So now they're pointing, so they didn't stay on that long. You know, they started getting somewhere like, okay, you know, there's a direct correlation between marriage, families, et cetera, and male participation in the workforce. And now we're just going to go into how they are getting away with not working. Now we need to go into how they're getting away with not working. Notice that. They switched gears real quick.
An extremely important and I think concerning one. Distressing proportion of the men who are out of the workforce say they're using pain medications every day.
A 2017 research paper estimates that an increase in opioid prescription between 1999 to 2015 led to about 43% of the decline in men's labor force participation rate during that period.
So then you have to ask, what sort of pain are we talking about? Are we talking about physical pain? Are we talking about metaphysical pain? There's an enormous...
You're talking about imaginary pain. For many men, disability is welfare for men. I mean, shout out to my vets, shout out to my genuinely disabled people. But for many men, disability is welfare for men. Now, they basically are doing now what women have done since the 60s, 70s. And that is saying, you know something, I do not want to participate in society the way women have in the past. So I'm just going to check out. You know, the check on the first of the month. So they're going to check out. And these are men who's like, okay, well, society isn't giving me what I want. I'm making $12,000 less than, than 20 years ago. I'm going to just check out. And truth be told, listen, and this isn't me condoning one action or another, condoning or condemning. But there are people, and I've seen it. If you are a working person with no advancement in sight, and you find yourself living in the same apartment complex as a non-working person on disability, et cetera, I could see why a person in that situation would rethink it. You look to the apartment on the left and you see that somebody is on welfare. You look to the apartment on the right and you see somebody's on disability. You look to your apartment and you see that you're working 10 hours a day and driving to work another 2 hours and back. So people are rethinking productivity because the motivation for work isn't from zero to what you make. And I'm talking about the economic motivation for work. The economic motivation for work isn't zero to what you make. It is the amount that you would make. It's the difference between the amount that you make versus the amount that you would make if you did not work. That's the difference. So if the government gives people, I'm just throwing out a number there. I really don't know how this works. I'm not disabled. If the government were to give you like $1,500, and that's not just the money, that's just like in benefits, in Section 8 benefits, in discounts, in food stamps, and everything. If they were to just give you that, and that came out to $1,500, and then you find yourself working and you're making $2,000 a month, then you have to stop and think that you're really working for $500 a month. That's $500 a month that you are actually working for. So let's just say 160 hours, you're making about $3 an hour at that point. So people are rethinking. Men are rethinking, but they're not having this conversation with men for whatever reason. They're having these conversations with very, very, very old people who at the time, they're at a stage in life where this doesn't affect them personally. And when it did affect them personally, because they're not prime age, and when it did affect them personally, they were in completely different circumstances. The world was a completely different place. Hit the like button.
Amount of depression, mental health challenges that men in this grouping face. Some of this is a chicken and egg question. Did you drop out because you were feeling sad? Or are you sad because you dropped out and you're living on the couch?
Unemployment is.
They're not talking to the men. It's not a matter of being sad. They're not answering the question, why should I work? What's in it for me? They're not answering that question.
It's really terrible for people's well-being. Often people adapt to all kinds of negative shocks, losing a kid, being widowed, whatever, and eventually kind of come back. But long-term.
All right. I'm going to respond to Gabe A. It says, I agree. A reason it's important, a reason is important, comma, but there definitely needs to be something beyond children to be productive. Passion, a desire to change the world, self-improvement, something. Understood. That's not every man's motivating factor. It's not. It would be nice. But if a person, okay, you're talking about the difference between SpongeBob and Squidward. SpongeBob has a passion for his job at the Krabby Patty. He has extraordinarily, sometimes bizarre and deal with it, passion for what he does. I work for the Krabby Patty and blah, 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 blah. Squidward is like, I don't like this job. I desire something different and better, yet I am ill qualified or don't find myself in that particular circumstance. And if given an option, Squidward wouldn't do it, but SpongeBob would continue to do it. Not saying that either mentality is right or wrong, but you have to say to whose benefit. And you see, that's the difference. Like, take Alfred, for example. Alfred had this really weird and bizarre dedication to what he did. He had a passion for that family, so much so that it superseded his own. You know, he was devoted to the parents, the Wayne parents, and then he was devoted to their son, who at night dresses up as a bat and beats people up. And you never really hear much about his own personal wants, life, and desire. I mean, there's various different versions of Batman, but there's one. It's like, you know, um, like every year I like to go on holiday, and he was basically telling Bruce to get a life. And I'm thinking, like, while this dude is sitting down, eating, sipping tea with Catwoman, you sitting there catless and womanless. I mean, what did you do for yourself through an entire life spent serving others? To a ridiculous degree. Like, once people start bringing out, you know, a bat suit, I'm like, you know something, I quit. That's where I draw the line. Like, you know, like sometimes people do stuff so strange that you just got to say, you know something, I'm not down with that. The moment somebody brings out a bat suit, you say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna work at the mansion next door, or I'm gonna retire right now. You know, that is when you quit. You know, like the moment somebody shows 1,000 bottles of baby oil, you're like, oh, you know something? I'm gonna sign with Suge Knight. Yeah, West Coast, Nick. That is a lot of baby oil. You know something? I'm gonna sign over here. Where Jay-Z at? This you do you, and I will not do you. I am going to go away. So yeah, there's dedication to a fault.
Unemployment is one of the worst things in terms of that. So what you have is a kind of scarring effect, and it's worse for men because their identity is much more wrapped up in their role as a worker.
Men's declining workforce participation can potentially leave a lasting impact on the American economy.
It means slower growth of the economy, obviously. It means bigger wealth gaps within our society.
It certainly will have an impact on our productivity and probably already is.
The U.S. has been experiencing a severe shortage in labor, still missing 1.7 million Americans from the workforce compared to February 2020. The McKinsey Global Institute estimates that U.S. GDP could have been $296 to $442 billion higher in 2023 if the country had been able to fill its job vacancies. However, some experts suggest the impacts of men leaving or never entering the workforce could be more sector-specific.
You need young men coming in wanting to replace those people going out. And so if men have primarily been in more manual labor, more blue-skilled and skilled trades, if they're older and they're leaving into retirement and there's not as many young men coming in, both because of declining cohort sizes, but moving in a different direction type of careers, we're going to be losing that sector of productivity.
Despite
What he's saying is true. I noticed that on the ground floor. First of all, R.I.P. John Amos, father from Good Times, Cleo McDowell from Coming to America, James Evans Sr., Roots. I mean, his body of work speaks for itself. Salute to him. Rest in peace. Going to do a special tribute on movie night, which is coming this Thursday, where we go over a few things, where we go over some of his movies, some of my favorites, some of the classics, the one that you haven't seen, likely, and that's Let's Do It Again. But there's also the not so classic ones. Also, Melody is going to have a Melody Media, Melody Amber. She's going to have a show tonight, 9:30 EST, about the ever-changing Diddy situation. So stay tuned for that. All right. Now, what they're saying is true. I noticed it years ago when my mechanic retired, a Mexican dude. As y'all know, I don't deal with white mechanics. Mexican dude, he wanted to keep working because he was the owner of the shop. He wanted to keep working, but he couldn't find young dudes, likely Mexican dudes he was looking for, but I think he'd take anybody, to pick up the slack. He's getting older. not getting around like he used to, and he couldn't find people to work his shop. Now, I mean, if I was to really inquire about why, because I don't know why, I would ask young Latin dudes and find out, hey, there's work here, there's money on the table. I mean, and I'll be surprised. I'm pretty sure I'll be surprised at what I find out. Like, I'm not gonna just assume that it's laziness or just not wanting to. I could find out that they're opening up their own shop. They find it in their financial best interest to open up their own shop. They're learning how to deal with electric vehicles and not gasoline vehicles. Like, it's a number of things. You have to ask the people, the would-be mechanics, the would-be young mechanics.
Steep rise in federal funding, the infrastructure sector hasn't been able to find enough workers, with the construction workforce shortage surpassing 500,000 in 2024.
We are a little concerned about the impact that inflation is going to have and has had on the movement of infrastructure dollars into the actual productive activity. Having a shortage of men in.
All right, I got to call something out. Mechanic laborers don't make enough money, bro. Dudes don't want to wage peanuts in 2024. Okay. I'm going to look that up because on the surface, I call cap. And that's because when I go to a mechanic and they give the receipt and it says, parts plus labor, the labor is sometimes over $100 an hour. Now, I'm assuming that half of that at least is going to the mechanic himself, meaning $50 an hour. Meaning that they're making six figures being a mechanic. So I wouldn't call that peanuts. But let's see. How much does Okay. So, all right, this is interesting. It says United States, as of September 2024, the average hourly pay for a mechanic in the United States is $20.81. The majority of mechanics range from $19.23 to $28.85. All right. So you were right. And I'm not calling it peanuts. And actually they have local places. In Oakland, it's $36.62. It's about $70K. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know if that's considered a decent wage or not, but it's a living wage. In Livermore, which is near Oakland, the same county, it is $34.63. And San Francisco, $34.48. Oh, it's more in Oakland than San Francisco. I didn't expect that. And Sacramento and Anaheim, it's about $30. So, and Sacramento is not. Sacramento is the state capital. It's further away, and it's less expensive cost of living there. So, yeah, I don't doubt that the wages are better. But according to this, they're making anywhere between 60 and 80 in Northern California. Once again, if they don't feel that that's worth working for, maybe it's not. That's perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine that they've come to that conclusion. Or maybe they did the evaluation that I did and came to the same conclusion. Like, wait a minute, you're charging this amount. You're charging the customer this amount for the labor, not the parts or anything like that. You're charging the customer this amount for the labor. So if you're charging a customer $100 for the labor, and I'm getting $24.81, then we got to renegotiate, or I would just change spark plugs for the neighborhood homies, for $50. I mean, you got to talk to the people. That's all I got to say. You got to talk to the people. I'm not a mechanic.
Construction is going to raise a problem.
The trend could have a dire sociopolitical impact as well.
It'll get worse in ways that we would not like. I mean, I think it would lead to more premature deaths, but it will also likely lead to radicalization and polarization, because this is a frustrated, left behind group with no options.
There are problems that government can address and problems that government can't address.
So one of the first functions that beats out policy is, economic growth. You have a strong economy, you're going to have increased wage structure, and it's going to bring people back into the market.
More than a quarter of prime age men not looking for work cited insufficient pay as a reason preventing them from work.
Okay.
And nearly half said competitive pay, salary, compensation, and or bonuses was a very important factor when considering whether to enter or return to the workforce.
For the young, better training, skills training, better some form of post-high school education, encouraging that, maybe even subsidizing that. I think part of the youth mental health crisis has to do with what's next. What's AI going to do? What am I going to do? Are there any stable jobs? I can't afford college. All those questions all come together. And so models that help them kind of give them a jump start can be really effective ways of intervening. And they're actually now.
This chick is way off again. They're way off the mark. So basically they're like, if you need to focus on post-high school graduation, why don't you focus on post-high school jobs that pay more? Now, as far as the status involved with the jobs, that's something that you don't really control. That's really something that women control collectively. If they start getting the ick because they think being a doctor is boring, then the status of being a doctor is low. So it's a status thing that's not going to change. You just got to ask what motivates men to work. Because right now, I'm going to tell you what it seems like. It seems like men are taking an all or nothing approach to work. Young men. I mean, I'm in that age group, by the way. What is it, like 18 to 54? But even younger men, they're taking an all or nothing approach to work. Meaning there isn't no, if I can't be a doctor, I'm going to be a nurse. Or if I can't be a lawyer, I'm going to be a clerk or a legal secretary. If I can't be in the NBA, I'm going to be a basketball coach. They're not taking the secondary option. It's all or nothing. I think one of the major reasons is because they're believing what these broads are saying. And I could see why. I could see why from their underdeveloped perception that they're on some all or nothing too. Because what they show you, and I'm talking about the women of Western women, what they show you is themselves with an extreme baller or the brokest dude on the block. I repeat, you only see them with extreme ballers or the brokest dude on the block. And here's what I mean by extreme ballers, because it's not enough to make a lot of money. You have to make it in a way that they desire. Now, this is all crap because women get with guys of all economic things, even attractive women. They get with them from all over the economic spectrum. But the guys don't see that. They just see what they say when they pop the balloon. They just see what they say you know, when the camera's in front of them, when they say, oh no, I want a scammer, or, you know, I can't get with a dude with a 9 to 5. I want a scammer. And so you have the dudes that, you know, live with his mom and, you know, scams every now and again, you know, sell somebody some fake jewelry. He's like, yeah, I'm a scammer. And, you know, so they assume that those are the guys that's getting, they're really all over the place. So I can imagine a lot of guys saying, okay, if I can't get it from the top, then I'm going to get it from the bottom. Once again, if I can't get it from the top, I am going to get it from the bottom. So a lot of guys are taking that approach, because one thing that's not advertised is guys getting it in the middle. The perception now, and this is the perception that they're putting out. This isn't, you know, the actuality, but the perception that they're putting out is that women are on both sides of the spectrum, but they're not in the middle. You see, before they used to present the middle guy as the one that achieved the American dream. The middle guy is the one that achieved the American dream. You know, what's his name? Mike Brady was the middle guy. The father from Happy Days was a middle guy. Leave It to Beaver, middle guy. Even Al Bundy, middle guy. Like, that was what was presented to young men at the time, that you can be in the middle and achieve the American dream. Now what's presented, and that's because everybody has a mic, and people are saying things that's not necessarily true. They're saying things to manipulate society in the way that they feel will benefit them, you know, and having men, you know, overly work, you know, because a woman says she only want to mess with a dude that make $500K, even though the last dude that she was messing with was a mechanic. Having women of that mindset, or women benefit if men have that mindset, if they overwork themselves trying to impress their overworked vagina. So there's a lot of lies going on. But once again, they're not seeing that. They're not seeing the change in media. They're not seeing the change in entertainment. You know, like, I mean, we went from shows like Married with Children, the guy was a shoe salesman, and what's the one where dude was a mailman? Well, there's King of Queens, and he was like a UPS driver. You know, so you're and so all that is gone now. Everybody Loves Raymond. All that is gone now. All those shows where, you know, the regular guy had a family, all those are gone now. And what in its place? Real Housewives of Compton, Wicked Wives of Wakanda, like all kinds of crap. It's ridiculous. They're only showing, you know, the extreme wealthy or the extreme under, and that's you know, like shows like Power and stuff like that. They're not showing the middle. So men are like, it's better to be at the bottom than the middle. And until they can disprove that from an individual standpoint, you're going to continue to see this problem.
Really promising programs in high schools, which teach kids financial literacy. They teach them about equity.
All right, let me respond to this. And what's up with the narrative that all guys who get PUSSY are basement dwelling criminals, LAMO? Okay, that's another lie, and it's a double lie. Meaning it's a lie told by multiple entities, at least two entities. Of course, it's a lie told by the basement dwellers. And that's really so he can feel like he's doing something in his dwelling. He could feel like he's better than somebody who's not dwelling in the basement. You know, so the lie is told from that standpoint by that person. And then there's the lie that's told to that the women are telling to guys. Understand this. It is in a woman's best interest to make you feel like you are not good enough. It is not in her best interest to let you know that you are the best that she can do. You're the best that she has done, and you are the best that she ever will do. It's not in her best interest to tell you that. So if you are a successful man, she will say that, oh, you don't have any time for me, or you're not cool enough, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, leaving you with the impression that she values basement dwellers. But of course, if you're a basement dweller, she'll call you a dusty and say, I need a baller. So they're always going to try to shoot you down. They're nagging you. It's a mating tactic. It's a relationship control tactic. Ignore it. Ignore it. The truth of the matter is your penis, her mouth. All right. Okay. Here's what I'm saying about that. The media isn't on our side anymore. And when doing things like this, the media, the powers that be actually listen. They actually worked to create the American dream for all. See, make no mistake, America has stopped promoting the American dream to women. I'm going to repeat this. America has stopped promoting the American dream to women. Now, what does that mean? It means that they are less, okay. And I'll give example. I'm going to name at least 4, and this is just off the top of my brain. I'm going to name at least 4 shows where they are promoting something other than the American dream to women. Sex in the City, Living Single, Single Ladies, Harlem, and trust me, that's just off dome. Like, you can really just go deeper and deeper and deeper. It's always 4 bitches, the same personality types, all just walking around, whatever major city they live in, getting dick every week. That is the new dream that they are selling to these broads. Oh, in the meantime, they're buying Gucci and Louis Vuitton because they're so successful. Like, that is the new dream that they are selling to these broads. And they have been selling it for a while, but they haven't sold us a new dream. So after decades of trying to live the dream with women who are trying to live a completely different dream, a lot of men are just saying, okay, I'm out. I'm out. I'm out of that game. I'm out of that race. See, it used to be where, it used to be that the powers to be of any type, I'm gonna wait to say this. I'll wait because I only got like 3 minutes of this. Hit the like button.
Entrepreneurship. They teach them about how do you foster better mental health as part of the workplace. And it seems to inspire kids to go on to college, right? Because they sort of see a pathway where they didn't see it before.
29% of men out of the labor force said that training and educational programs was another important factor in considering a return to the workforce.
Having the type of commitment from the employer to train and retain and offer upward mobility for workers, I think will be very important. Trying to figure out more about career pathways in the labor market and not just the education side. So how is it that someone moves from first job, next job to best job? How do we help people understand and navigate?
Nearly a quarter of working Americans said they weren't satisfied with their growth opportunities in the workplace. compared to other OECD countries that on average spend 0.1% of their GDP on training their workers. The US spent only 0.03% of their GDP on job training in 2022.
Older age groups, it's tougher. You know, you're probably not going to get these guys to retrain, but you can get, there are a lot of programs that have largely been pioneered in the UK, much more than here, but we're starting to pick up on them, that literally just try and reboot community activities. They get these isolated people in despair out of their houses. It can make a difference.
Social programs like disability benefits spark contentious debate.
It's very controversial.
Okay. They are completely off base. You know, if they just had more community building projects, then these young men would go back to work. Why? Why? So they could wake up in the morning every day, go plant some gardens, and then come home and play video games and jack off like they was doing before? Listen, once men came to the conclusion that participating actively and honorably in the workforce does not guarantee you the American dream. Once American men have come to that conclusion, all bets were off. Anything that happened after that is just going to happen. And I'm not talking about like you're not guaranteed to get the American dream, because divorce isn't part of the American dream. Very few guys are getting married, and half of those are getting divorced. Very few people are actually getting the whole American dream. And they're complaining about the 10% who are not in the workforce. Talk about the overwhelming percent of men who are in it. And they have not gotten what previous generations have gotten out of the workforce. And that is American dream.
People have very strong opinions about this. While we don't know why it is happening, we can be pretty clear that the social welfare programs are helping, and the disability.
We don't know why it's happened, but we know that the social welfare programs, are you kidding me? So now, see, welfare is bad when men are taking it. I'm going to repeat. Welfare is bad when men are taking it. One more again. Welfare is bad when men are taking it. Why does he sound and look like the Clear Eyes guy? Welfare is bad when men are taking it. You see, and I'm not saying it's good when men are taking it. What I'm saying is that they're upset because men are using welfare to negate their obligations as men. But women are using and have used welfare to sidestep their obligation as women. I don't want to cook or clean or rear kids or support a man. That was okay. And it's more than 10% in that mindset. But that's completely okay.
Disability programs are helping to finance this situation in a way that was never originally intended.
A 2018 analysis by the Joint Economic Committee found that 64% of prime-age men who aren't working were receiving some sort of government assistance.
So the one benefit that they rely heavily on is disability insurance. One, because they
coming for you. They coming for you. They're not going to motivate you. Oh, no. They're not going to motivate you to get you back to what they want you to do. They're going to cut off the spigot. How long have people been yelling, cuts? How long have they been saying winter is coming? How long have they been saying that? Well, guess what? The cuts is coming, and winter is coming for you. I mean, they've been talking about welfare cuts for forever. They don't do that. Like the welfare for women. Oh no, they're not going to do that. As long as she could pop out a bastard and raise it poorly, they're going to keep that going. But you, cuts, because they value your contribution to society more than theirs. And they like, we don't want to pay you to not contribute to society, but they're willing to pay women not to contribute to a family. Listen to how backwards they are.
They often are unable to work if they have a physical injury or high levels of addiction or whatever. But it also provides health insurance, which is huge.
Very much against the initial intentions of the founders of the program. They've ended up with a perverse situation that too often subsidizes or even incentivizes helplessness and long-term dependence. If we thought about a system in which we had a work-first principle where the incentives were for getting the training and then showing up at the job and then staying at the job, I think we'd be in a lot better place than we are today.
However,
Okay. Once again, they're just speculating on what's motivating men. They're speculating on what's motivating men. Okay. I'm going to make an assertion, and I want y'all to listen to me and listen to me good. Ever notice how the cultures with the most cooperative women have the hardest working men? Let me repeat. The cultures with the most cooperative women have the hardest working men. One more time. The cultures with the most cooperative women have the hardest working men. God's chosen anybody? Nigerian American anybody? Japanese anybody? Chinese anybody? Ever notice that the more cooperative the women are, the harder the men are working? Okay, good question. Chris said, which one came first? No pun intended. No pun taken. To answer that, that question is easily answered. You just have to reverse it and say which one left first. If you want to determine correlation and causation, bear with me. Bear with me. Men worked harder in American history when women were cooperating. Now we know that women stopped cooperating first, and then men stopped working. So we do understand which is the control factor. When women cooperate, men work. When they don't cooperate, men stop working. Now, there could be something to say that if men stop working first, then the women will stop cooperating. Don't know. That hasn't happened. When women cooperate, men don't really necessarily stop working when they're dealing in a population of cooperative women. So there you have it.
some experts remain doubtful about whether altering the benefits program will lead to meaningful results.
I think until we deal with the deeper problem of ill health, ill mental health, these guys aren't going to respond to incentives.
Everybody.
Here we go. We have to cure mental illness before these guys. They are way off base. They haven't asked themselves, what motivates men and how do we get that to them? It's like waving a carrot in front of a horse to get it to run. Just to realize that this horse don't like carrots. You find out what it likes. And you do that by asking men.
Is responsible for their brothers. Everybody's responsible for their neighbors and their friends. And we ourselves as citizens can help to shine a spotlight on this. It shouldn't be America's invisible problem. And the more that we talk about it, the more that we pay attention to it, the closer we get to turning this around.
Okay. Let me stop right there. All right, let's read some questions. It says, all right, I answered that one. Let's see. Health insurance is overrated, not if you're sick. All right, it says, having autonomy is not satisfying for everybody. Many like the idea of coming home to a family and some kids. Yeah, absolutely. But the workforce, which was proven to be a path for that in the past, is no longer a path to that. See, a lot of social contracts were broken. And we're going to get into that before I wrap up here. This is not going to be like a 3-hour one. So you can't find a Black family show if you had to. Yeah, I think the last one was like Family Matters and went in a whole different direction. Actually, you bring up something interesting, Droopy D, and I'm going to talk about that now. In fact, I'll probably do a whole separate show, so stay tuned. The show Moesha with Brandy, something interesting happened on that show I was watching. And apparently, the reason why they started that show, the Parkers, is because there was a rift between Brandy and I forget her name, Candace. Not Candace Owens, but help me out, the fat chick. There was a rift between the two of them, and apparently the audience liked her character more. I think her name was Kim. They liked her character more. Now the audience is primarily Black women. Think about what that means for a second. On one hand, you have Moesha. Moesha is slim, fit, she sings, she dances, she has the healthy family, and the father, the mother, the two brothers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She went to like the special, gifted and talented schools, and she went to the best college and all this stuff, So on one hand, you have that. And then on the other hand, you had an overweight girl that was chasing some dude around for penis for years. And that same dude was giving it to Moesha for free, as I remember the show. But for whatever reason, the audience sided with her. Now that says something. Because basically we had a family show that was a family show. Had a father, a stepmother, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What they replaced it with was two fat chicks chasing around California penis that refused to give it to him for free. And I don't blame them. Hi, Professor Ogilvy. What, are you kidding me? That is harassment. That is harassment. If it wasn't a junior college, her fat ass would be expelled. That is harassment. I am a professor. Would you stop with this foolishness? Just stop it. Like, he should have nipped that in the fat. Anyway. So what we found entertaining wasn't the family dynamic. At least that's not what was presented to the Black community. The family dynamic where the average guy, the guy with the Saturn dealership got with a regular woman and had kids. That model is gone. Now you just have a model of fat broads chasing my penis. And Black female society has eaten this up. This is the direction that they have went in. This is what they prefer to see. To be perfectly honest, I don't know why, and I don't care. I think that I do care, but not emotional care. I care like out of curiosity, out of scientific curiosity. But yes, since the Parkers, they have gotten fatter. They have gotten louder. They've gotten fake hair-ditter. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I think it was Gay Beta was talking like, the media influence. Listen, life imitates art from time to time. It is what it is. And Black women are prime examples of that because they watch the most TV and they do the most stuff that they see on TV. All right, let me just fact check this for a second. All right. Obesity by race. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Here is a table from minorityhealth.hhs.gov. All right, let's see. Age-adjusted percentage of persons 20 of age or older who were overweight or obese. Okay, you know something? I'm going to share this with you. And this is why you can't believe random broads in the chat room. All right. Is that Doug or is that Hey Arnold that I was just, or was that Rugrats? That was something Nickelodeon. All right, let's see. Random broads in the chat room. All right. Age-adjusted percentage of persons of age who are overweight or obese, 2015 through 2018, body mass index of 25 or greater. All right, non-Hispanic Black men seem to have 70.9%. Non-Hispanic whites seem to have 76%. Oh, okay. Now, that's a difference of 6 percentage points or 5.1 percentage points. Now, let's just take a look here. Let's just take a look right here. Let's see. Non-Hispanic. Oh, so they kept the Latinas out of this one. Non-Hispanic Black women, 79.6. Good God. Good God. And non-Hispanic white is 67.4. That is a difference of, what is that, about like 12? So it's like twice the difference. So not only are we not the fattest one, y'all are the fattest women by a wide margin. And it's showing like that in every index. It's always the bad. You're always the worst. Like, the next graph, 56.2 to 39.0. The next graph, like, we're always lower and you're always higher. Okay, this time it matched, but y'all always higher. Here it's almost twice. It's almost twice. Good God. Good God. Listen. Oh, and notice this. Notice this. The men, the non-Hispanic white men, have always been worse off than their women, while our women are always worse off than us, except here. Let me see. Who are overweight but not obese 2018. Okay, I had a good year here, I guess. Look at this. Nearly doubled. Okay, so this is amongst children, and it looks like y'all on par with everybody else. Oh, no. No, they switched it. They switched the place between male and female. I was about to give y'all credit. Okay, so between 6 and 11, we're matched with everybody. Y'all are not. Here it is obviously 2-1. Not only are y'all fat, y'all have fat kids. What are you doing? Why is the brother? So if y'all had twins, according to this, if y'all had twins in the same household, the girl twin is more likely to be fat than the boy twin. What do y'all do? Feed it out of the fat titty? Like, how is it that the people who eat the same cereal, but one come out obese by 11 and the other one don't? What are y'all doing? What in the world are y'all doing? And look at their girls. How come their girls is slimmer than their guys? Women have more body fat in general. Okay, but why do you have more than other women? This is not a comparison between the women and the men. This is the comparison between your fat ass and the other women of the world. Testing, testing. All right, y'all can hear me? Okay, I'm back. All right. No, I didn't stream it in. I pulled the thing out the thing. But see, it's not a comparison between men and women. It's a comparison between black women and all other women in the world. And in that comparison, y'all fat as hell. So let's not go there. Black men are fat too. This is why you have to fact check. This is why you have to fact check, because people will just bring up all kinds of crap. They will just bring up all kinds of crap. And notice there wasn't a call to do better in that comment. There wasn't a oh no, you know, but we're working on it. We're in the gym, we're pounding the pavement and blah 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 blah. Oh my gosh. And yes, I did compare black men to other men, and still we were slimmer. We were fitter and we were big dickier. Okay. The problem is you. Problem's you. You're fat. Which is why black men are less motivated to get in the workforce, because what's happening is they're seeing the ones in the middle get fat bitches. Like, that's all you could get. That's what I've been pounding this pavement for. Literally. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this again. Basically, what this means is that if you are a man, working or otherwise, only 19.1% of you will get with a slim-waisted chick. Meaning, no matter what, if you stick with this within this cohort, oh, my bad. 20.4. 20.4 of you will get a chick with a collarbone, and that's it. And that's no matter how much you work. This is what's supposed to motivate men. There is no motivation in the black community. As I have stated before, look at the cultures with the most cooperative women, and you will find hardworking men. The more cooperative the women, the harder the men work. The more cooperative the women, the harder the men work. The more cooperative the women, the harder the men work. Okay. Okay, you did a live on the Beast Black Woman and the Gatorade ad. I remember that. Black women don't fight the image. They only try to call black men for who try to call black women fat. That was my last one too. My last video, she was being called fat. Even though she called dudes short, she was being called fat. She was being suggested that she worked out, and she'd rather cry than sweat. I repeat, she would rather cry than sweat. She would rather cry on TV than sweat in the gym. And this is because ever since Mammy, society has put, and believe me, you know, black women be on some monkey see, monkey do stuff. Like everything you see on TV, you see in their behavior almost immediately after it's presented on TV. I repeat, everything you see on TV, you see in their behavior almost immediately after you see it on TV. Oh, you don't believe me? You don't believe me? You don't. All right. Oh, let's take a look. Let's take a look. Okay, so let me stop this screen share and me. Overweight. This is the 1920s equivalent to a bonnet. Angry, never smiling on a picture, always angry. Yep. Who does that remind you of? Anybody on World Star Hip Hop right now? Mm-hmm. We could keep going. Yeah. The mother from Good Times, mother from the Jeffersons. Give me a break. Monkey see, monkey do. Monkey see, monkey do. So all white society has to do is put out an image of black women that is favorable to the masses, and black women will follow that image. No, sweetie. Y'all are labeling movies as real life. Y'all are turning movies into real life. It's part of being stupid. I repeat, y'all are turning movies into real life. Movie, you have a fat woman with some crap up top her head. Real life, 79.6% obesity rate. I'm saying that y'all are living the movie. Y'all see fat women in the movies and y'all become fat because you're stupid like that. Y'all see slutty women in the movies and y'all twerk your ass off everywhere you go because you're stupid like that. Y'all see women on movies deliberately become single mothers. And y'all deliberately become single mothers. Because you're stupid like that. You watch too much TV. TV mixed with stupidity just breeds more stupidity. You watch too much of it. Y'all see women on TV popping off at their man on Real Housewives of wherever. And y'all attempt to mimic that in real life because you're stupid like that. Don't be stupid. There's no future in stupidity. There isn't. All stupidity has gotten you was the least desirable people in the universe. Call it what you want. Call it what you want. Y'all eat too much. Woman up. Y'all talk too much. Woman up. Well, I don't think so. I think movies influence the culture. I mean, of course, you can make a movie that reflects culture as it stands, but I think in this particular instance, I should say that movies have influenced the culture. You see, Mammy was created to be deliberately unattractive. And the reason why is because if you are going to have a woman cooking and cleaning and taking care of your kids, white women would feel more comfortable if the woman looked like Mammy as opposed to Pam Grier, as opposed to Thelma Evans, as opposed to Dorothy Dandridge. They are more comfortable with the image of Mammy working in their home with their husband than they are with the image of Dorothy Dandridge working in their home with their husbands. So that's why the Mammy came, so people can get comfortable with this particular notion. So white women can be comfortable with this particular notion. Same as Oprah. Like they could have hired a lot of people, a lot of ridiculously more attractive women than Oprah, like Robin Givens, for example, who I think she later had a show. You know, there were more attractive women of that age group, like Pam Grier, you know, who was, you know, just like leaving her movie roles at the time. There were a lot more attractive women that they could have put into that role, but they put Oprah into that role. And this is to make white women comfortable. So if you're wondering, black women, if you're wondering why you so fat, nasty, and obnoxious, it's because the image was created to make white women more comfortable with you. Your whole culture is predicated on not being a sexual threat to white women. And what has that gotten you? Look at where you are right now. It's a damn shame. Not a sexual threat to anybody. Y'all a long way from hearing white women say, black women are taking all our men, all our good men. Y'all are a long way of hearing those words. Social contracts have been broken, fellas. What is a social contract? It's an unwritten contract between society and those who participate in society. For example, it's an unspoken rule that when an elevator door opens, the people who are in the elevator exit first. And then the people who are waiting to get in enters the elevator. That is a unspoken social contract. It's an unsocial contract that you take your shoes off in certain houses. It's an unspoken social contract that if somebody is coming up behind you and you open a door at, say, well, they have automatic doors, say like a 7-Eleven or something, then you hold the door behind you to let the other person grab it from you. Shaking hands is an unspoken social contract. Excuse me when bumping into someone is an unspoken social contract. So there was a lot of social contracts that existed at a time that no longer exists. And therefore, people who put into said societies is no longer putting in the way they did before. I'm going to give an example because they just gave the workplace example. I'll give you another example. Church. Church had a unspoken social contract. And I'm just talking to black church because really the black church is all I know. And that is, if you be a reasonably good Christian and go to church, then the church will in turn encourage Christian women to be good to you, the Christian men. You support the church reinforces its doctrine onto the women, strengthening you to reinforce the church some more. That was the original social contract. I'm old enough to have seen it work. I'm old enough to have seen the church go from dedicated deacons with, with church women, who were the wives of the deacons, and, the ushers, and everyone who participated in the church got the American dream out of the deal. And the church reinforced and encouraged this American dream. It condemned promiscuity. It condemned behavior that was not beneficial to the family dynamic that the man wanted. Now, for a time, men continued to contribute to church, but the churches stopped encouraging the women to follow church doctrine and behave as church women did and should. They stopped doing that. And then what you slowly seen happen was men stop contributing to the church. They stopped contributing. They stopped participating. They just stopped. By and large, Black men have stopped with the church stuff. They just completely stopped. Why? Because they stopped getting what the social contract between church and man was promised. They just stopped. Like, something? I've been going to this church a long time, and this church bitch that you introduced me to divorced me and took half my shit. Like, all the church women that you send my way already have 3 kids. All the church women that you send my way are fat. All the church women that you see myself is for the streets every other 6 days of the week. They stopped offering men good church women, so men stopped offering the Black churches everything. Everything. All right. Fair point. Church does not guarantee anything in terms of wife material. Yes, it does. Or I should say, yes, it did at one point. What it guaranteed is one, a reasonable opportunity at a woman who is wife material. And it also guaranteed that it would encourage women to be wife material. No, it did not guarantee you a wife who is wife material. Nothing like that is ever guaranteed. But those are the 2 things that it did. It did guarantee you a reasonable opportunity at a woman who's wife material, and that it would encourage women to be wife material. And they have failed in that regard. So men are failing to put into the church. Example number 1. Example number 2, nightclubs. Now, many nightclubs work on the ladies free, blah, 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 blah. Ladies free before 10. Ladies free if you got red on. Ladies free if your pussy don't stink. Ladies free if you don't have an STD. Ladies, okay, somebody's saying stuff. Hold on. Let's see what they're talking about. I don't know about that, Game Changer. The church has always had a surplus of whores in it. I think you might be younger than me. Think you might be younger than me. When you look at the movie The Color Purple, and the father did not want to have, the pastor father did not want to have anything to do with his whore of a daughter. That was a real thing. There were women that if you stepped out of the church line, you would hear about it from my grandma. You will hear about it from my grandma. and everybody else grandma in that mother. And it wasn't just that you hear like I'm at grandma's house and she on the phone talking to church bitches. Talking about who wore what, who let their daughter come and how, and all kind of crap like that. So we come from like completely different points of view. Now, back to the club. Ladies get in free. Ladies get in free if you have an unexpired condom on you. Ladies get in free. Now, in exchange for free entertainment, free music, free DJ, free drinks if you could get a man to get you one, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In exchange for that, the unspoken rules of the nightclub is that men, we offer you a reasonable chance at pussy. I repeat, we offer you a reasonable chance at pussy. You pay us. You pay us in door fees. You pay us in drinks. You pay us for a VIP section. If you pay us, we will offer you a reasonable chance at pussy. Now, there was a time where the nightclubs fulfilled that contract. But that contract was broken, not by the nightclub itself. That contract was broken by the one. They like, listen, yes, I had a good time on everybody else's dime. I do not feel obligated to give anybody a good time. I do not feel obligated to give anybody a good time, even though everybody has given me a good time. I no longer feel obligated to give anybody a good time. So the club gave the women a good time. The women did not feel obligated to give the men a good time. So then the men stopped feeling obligated to give the club a good time. They dropped out of the nightclub force. And now nightclubs are dead. I'm gonna give you one more example, then I'm gonna bring this full circle. Another example, dating apps. The unspoken contract was just like the clubs, men pay, women don't. In exchange for your monies, I'll give you a reasonable possibility of sex. I'll give you access to women that you have a reasonable possibility to have sex with. But the women did not keep up with their bargain. Oh my God. Listen to this foolishness. Y'all in here lying. The club was packed Saturday. Yes, it was packed full of overweight, freeloading bitches. Just like every club in America. It was packed with overweight, freeloading bitches. Or far older men who haven't realized that the clubs are dead. guys who've been in a relationship for, like 20 years, and they're like, okay, and then it ended, and they're like, okay, I'm going to get back out there. So I'm going to do what I did in 2004. I want y'all to pay attention to what just happened here so you can know the IQ level that we're dealing with. I just said that it's packed with a bunch of fat freeloading bitches. And then she said, and with men. I can't make this up. She didn't deny that they are fat. She didn't deny that they were freeloading. She didn't even deny that there were bitches. She just said that there are men there too. She went to the club, looked around, and like, yeah, they fat, yeah, they freeloading, yeah, they bitches, but they're men buying drinks. That is the level of intelligence that you're dealing with. Okay. I don't know if 20 and 30-year-old dudes are still going to the clubs. As far as I understand, they go to lounges. As far as I understand, they go to lounges. Not yours and not without gloves. Okay. Yes, I been outside. That's how I know it's a bunch of fat bitches there. Shitty bum can continue as you are, and you'll what's that? Parentheses. Alone as you deserve. We're done with you. Well, I think she understands that. I think she understands that, and that's what she's doing. She's trying to advertise. She's trying to advertise the old broken contract. Oh no, if you still come to the club and buy me a drink, something good will come out of that. It won't. It won't. The best thing she could do is fuck you, and it's her. Like, really? Is that what clubs have to offer? Shitty bum? Is that what you're going for? So we talked about the church. We talked about the church. We talked about the nightclubs. And we talked about dating apps. Actually, but I didn't finish about dating apps. So I'm going to finish now. I'm going to finish now. This is why. I told you, IQ, keep proving me right. This is why. This is why. This is why dudes aren't doing dating apps anymore. This is why Bumble stock dropped. This is why, well, it's not Tinder's. I think it was like Hinge or something like that. This is why the stock dropped. This is why the stock dropped. Why? Because men realized how foolish they were to pay to be one of this broad's 300 unread IG messages. This is why it stopped. Why are you paying a monthly fee to gas these broads up? This is why they don't do it anymore. This is how industries go under. This is how, because women are not reading their messages. So once again, we got the church, we have the nightclubs, and we have Instagram. Let me ask you something. I think that you're foolish enough to answer. Did you fuck? I'm talking to you, Shitty. Did you fuck? Did you suck one dick? You said you was at the club the other day. Did you suck one dick? Answer the question. Answer the question. Did you suck one dick? Foolish enough to answer. Foolish enough to answer. And that is why the industry is fading. That is why the industry is fading. Did you accept any drinks? Did you? No, it's not. Did you accept any drinks? Well, you ain't going to heaven. Did you accept any drinks? Thank you, Shitty. Thank you. Thank you for proving me right. Men are tired of buying drinks and not getting their dick sucked. That's why Theo has a passport. This is why men are not participating. Now, we talked about the nightclubs where you can buy Shitty some drinks and not get your dick sucked. We talked about dating apps where you can be one of the 300 unread messages that she has. And we talked about church where chicks like this think that it's okay to go out at night, dress salaciously, get guys to buy you drinks, but sucking dick is a sin. That's what you're going to find in church. So once a social contract is broken, people are not going to keep up with their end of the social contract. Salute Ike. Salute D2. Now, how does that deal with men in the labor force? As I mentioned before, there existed something called the American Dream. The American Dream. The American Dream. What was promised was that if you men do these particular things, then you have a reasonable chance at the American dream. That is what was told to you. That is what was sold to you. That if you get an adequate education, get a trade or a skill, get a job, secure a home, then, society will provide you a family to fill in that home. That contract has been broken. It has been broken through women's liberation. No matter through what means, it has been broken. And because that contract is broken, men subconsciously are less likely to fulfill their end of the social contract. There are working men who are saying, where is my American dream? You just have broad saying stuff like men are crybabies. Shitty, you're a sugar baby with no fucking sugar. Okay? Understand that. You are a sugar baby with no fucking sugar. Then you're an idiot. All right. And that's what really happened to the male participation in the labor force. They haven't answered the question, why? Hold on. GameChanger. A janitor back in the day could raise a family and service a mortgage for a modest house and raise 4 to 6 kids in that house. These days, dual professional income will struggle to pay off the same house. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's what's going on, people. The social contract has changed, and therefore men's participation in the contract. Listen, that is how a contract works. One side offers something, you pay somebody, and you get the thing that you paid for. That's how it works. I pay a mechanic and my car gets fixed. That is the contract. That contract is broken, and therefore male participation in the contract is broken. And these people are just trying to figure out why. Why? Because you are working twice as much as your grandfather, and you're getting half as much. And I'm not talking about just half as much of financially. I'm talking about half as much of the American dream. You're getting half the American dream that your grandfather got. And if you're Gen X, you've seen it. You had the benefit of seeing it happen to your father. All right, so let me check my phone before I get out of here. Oh crap, my food got. All right. Oh, special shout out to, because yesterday I said RC because I didn't know if you wanted me to say his name, but I see his name is in the thing, so I'll just say Ronald Calhoun. Thank you for the Cash App yesterday. Greatly appreciate you. Let me see if I can still find where you're at. Leave no one behind. Leave no one behind. Here we go. All right. Thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate you. Appreciate your contribution. So, that being said, I want to thank the Cash Apps and Super Chats, managers and moderators, those who are listening silently, and those who participate in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. This is GameChanger 00100. Game over. Peace.